Hello guys, welcome back to another episode here on European Confessions. There is a message that I want to share with you guys, and this message, it comes from a translation of a message that I received, and the message reads like this. Hello brother Nashi, how are you? Can you please post my story? And my name is Name Hidden. I am a woman who is aged 40 years old. So I grew up in the villages. When I was there in the villages, when I had came of age, that was when I came across this man, and after that man, he had proposed love to me. That was when I fell in love with him. But the only problem was that this man that I was now dating, he was not permanently staying in the village. He was working there in the city. So after I had fallen in love with him, and after I had dated that man, that was when he went back to the city. But what I saw is that that man's mother, my mother-in-law, she didn't even like me at all. From the very first day that I arrived at my husband's homestead, I immediately knew that my life there was going to be very difficult, because it seemed as if my mother-in-law, she had another woman whom she wanted my then husband to get married to. But since I loved my husband, I tried by all means to be good to my mother-in-law, but it was not helpful at all. So the situation that would happen is that whenever I would want to travel to the city, then my mother-in-law would get so angry as to why I wanted to travel to the city. And if I stayed very long in the village without ever going to the city to be with my husband, then my mother-in-law still, she will get so angry. Then she will say that this prostitute, now that she has stayed very long in this village without ever being with her husband, she will start to go around sleeping with some of her former high school mates. This was painful to me, but I continued in this relationship because I really loved my husband. But the other thing that troubled me is that whenever I would go to the city so as to be with my husband, sometimes me and my husband, we would have spent so many months without seeing each other. So you know the feeling, like when you have spent so many months without ever seeing or touching your husband, on the night that you will be together, you will be expecting fire in the bedroom. But whenever I'll be with my husband, even after 3 or 4 months, there will be nothing in the bedroom. My husband will give me a lot of excuses, and whenever you would have finished having intercourse with me, what will happen is that when I would check his semen, I'll see that it was not as strong as I thought that it was supposed to be. Because if a man would have spent a lot of months without having intercourse, I expected that his semen was supposed to be strong. But this husband of mine, after we had intercourse, he would then say that, how can my semen be strong? Because when you are not here, what I do is that I do please myself so that I won't cheat on you. But I never believed it, because each and every time that I would visit him to the city, his semen will always be watery. My brother, this was very painful to me. And the other excuse that he would give me, he would say that, how can I be strong in bed? Because you know that the kind of a job that I have, it requires a lot of labor. So these were some of his excuses. So when I fell pregnant, still a lot of people complained that the baby that I was carrying maybe was not my husband's child. Even when I fell pregnant again, a lot of people were talking. But this time around, it was very different. It seemed as if God had forgotten me, because after I had fallen pregnant, I fell sick, my brother, like no man's business. And at that time, when I had fallen sick, my husband, who was in the city, kept on going with me. We used to visit a lot of traditional healers, and at the same time, we were visiting those white garments. So when we went to consult with one of those people that my husband always consulted with, that was when my husband was told that the problem that I was facing, it was beyond him. He was then told that one of my ancestors had chosen to be in possession of my body, So a ceremony, a traditional ceremony, was supposed to be performed so that this ancestor of mine can be in full possession of my body. My husband was then told that it was far much better that he returns me back to my people, because they were the ones that knew what to do with me if anything would happen to me, since this was not a natural disease that I was suffering from, but it was one of my ancestors that was making me to be sick like this. And this disease that I was facing, no one but a traditional healer could cure it. And the way that this disease that I was suffering from, the only way that it could be cured was by me having a traditional ceremony being performed, so that the ancestor that wanted to possess my body can be allowed to be in full possession of my body. And at that time, that was when I learned that there were two spirits that were competing for the right to be in possession of my body. The other spirit was an evil spirit, the spirit of a goblin that had been placed upon my life so that I can never succeed in this life. Then that evil spirit was the one that was stopping my ancestor to be in full possession of my body, because what was said was that if my ancestor could have managed to be in possession of my body, then my life will be changed and I'll be someone who was going to be successful. But as long as this evil spirit of the goblin will be upon my head, then my life will be filled with bad luck and a lot of bad things. So my mom on her side, she had been going around when I was still staying with my husband, looking for advice and assistance because of the way that I was sick. By the time that I was taken back, when we went to the one of the traditional healers that they had previously consulted with, from the very moment that we stepped feet into the consulting room, then that traditional healer got so angry. Then he said to my relatives, "You people, you are evil-hearted. Can't you see what you have done? What kind of a family are you? What kind of animals are you? Are you not even sorry of the things that you have done?" This traditional healer was trying to say that my relatives, or one of my relatives that had placed this evil spirit upon my head, was so evil, so much that he wanted me and my unborn child to die. This was quite a terrible time for me, my brother, because what would happen to me is that whenever I would have fallen asleep, sometimes I would feel that my baby's bones, my baby that I was carrying, I would feel that there will be something that will be busy eating up the baby that I was carrying in my womb. Sometimes I could even hear that there were bones that were cracking up in my womb. Like what happens when you are busy chewing a bone, that is the same sound that I would hear coming out of my womb. And sometimes what would happen to me is that when I would lift up my skirt so as to look at my growing tummy, I would see that on top of my tummy there will be something that will be designed like a tattoo. But this tattoo that would have been designed on my tummy, it will be in form of a snake.